and welcome back to the weekly vlog. I am Tara Swiger, and this week I wanted to talk about a book that I read just yesterday that I absolutely loved. So Wolfpack by Abby Wambach. It is a small little book. I've got my finger in here marking a quote I want to share with you. Teeny tiny little book. It's really an expansion of her graduation speech that she gave to Barnard. If you don't know, Abby Wambach was a U.S. national women's soccer player, and she wrote the memoir Forward, which I heartily recommend if you want something a little bigger and thicker about what she learned about leadership through soccer. This is, well, how to come together, unleash the power, and change the game. It's basically for women on how to work together and lead your own life. And I read it yesterday and I was like, this is what I have to talk about on the vlog this week. It's the best thing I read all week. I think I'm actually going to change up a little bit how I do the podcasts. So if you listen to Explore Your Enthusiasm, you know that one time a month, usually at the beginning of the month, I talk about the books I read in the last month. I'm thinking instead of sharing them here in the weekly vlog, because I can talk about them much closer to the time that I read them, and I can go in like different kinds of detail other than what I would just do in the podcast where I'm talking about like 10 books I read in a month. I can go a little deeper if I talk about it weekly or, every couple weeks. So you let me know what you want. Leave it in the comments. Tell me, do you want to hear about the books like closer to the time I'm reading them and maybe in a little more detail? So let's talk about Wolfpack. So Wolfpack is really 9 rules, and it's called what it's called because she says that if she could have gone back in time and told her little self anything, it would be, you were never Little Red Riding Hood, getting lost and have to stay on the path. You were always the wolf. And she talks specifically about how in a state park, they released wolves that had been were going extinct in that state park, and the wolves reduced the deer population, which had been too high, which allowed the vegetation to grow back, which allowed birds and bugs to come back, which allowed bears to come back. And basically one wolf pack completely changed the environment, the flora and fauna, the life in that park. And so by working together and being a wolf pack together, we can change the world. That's what the premise of the book is. So she talks about old rules and new rules. So we're going to go through the 8 rules. Is it 8 or is it 9? So she says, we are the wolves, and there are 8 rules. So number 1, the old rule was stay on the path. The new rule is create your own path. Now, if you've been hanging out with me for a while, you know that I'm all about creating your own path. In fact, my book, Map Your Business, was built on the process that I guide makers through to create their own path, to figure out where they want to go and then make a path, a literal path. There's like a path drawn in Map Your Business that you stake your own claim to, because you can't follow anybody else's path to get where you want to go. So rule number 1 is create your own path. The call to the wolf pack, at the end of each chapter, there's a call to the wolf pack, and it is wear what you want, love who you love, become what you imagine, create what you need. You were never Little Red Riding Hood. You are always the wolf. Rule 2, be grateful for what you have is the old rule. The new rule is be grateful for what you have and demand what you deserve. We get so many messages about how we should just be grateful. We should just be thankful. What we have is awesome. And yes, absolutely true gratitude for what we have. That doesn't mean you can't be ambitious and want more. So the call to the wolf pack, be grateful, but do not just be grateful. Be grateful and brave. Be grateful and ambitious. Be grateful and righteous. Be grateful and persistent. Be grateful and loud. Be grateful for what you have and demand what you deserve. The third rule, the old rule used to be wait for permission to lead. The new rule is lead now from wherever you are. She talks about leading from the bench and how important it is when you are benched, you feel like you're not getting to do what you want to do, you can still lead. She says, if you're not a leader on the bench, don't call yourself a leader in the field. You're either a leader everywhere or nowhere. Every woman is a leader of her own life. Do not give up that power. Claim it, value it, use it. In other words, no matter where you are or what you're doing, you can still choose to lead the life you want to lead. You can lead those around you towards the kind of world you want to create. So she says, if you have a voice, you have influence to spread. If you have relationships, you have hearts to guide. If you know young people, you have futures to mold. If you have privilege, you have power to share. If you have money, you have support to give. If you have a ballot, you have policy to shape. If you have pain, you have empathy to offer others. If you have freedom, you have others to fight for. If you're alive, you're a leader. Her fourth rule, make failure your fuel. The old rule was failure means you're out of the game. The new rule is failure means you're finally in the game. And I got to read you a quote from this because I think it's super important. I might do a whole episode about this. Women haven't yet accessed the power of failure. When it comes, we panic, deny it, or reject it outright. Worst case scenario, we view failure as proof we were always unworthy imposters. Men have been allowed to fail and keep playing forever. Why do we let failure take us out of the game? Perfection is not a prerequisite of leadership, but we can forgive ourselves for believing it is. We've been living by the old rules that insist that a woman must be perfect before she's worthy of showing up. Since no one is perfect, this rule is an effective way to keep women out of leadership preemptively. It's time for a new rule. Women must stop accepting failure as our destruction and start using failure as our fuel. Failure is not something to be ashamed of, nor is it proof of your unworthiness. Failure is something to be powered from. Let's stop worrying, what if I fail? Instead, let's promise ourselves, when I fail, I'll stick around. So huge. It's so huge. So she says the last bit in this chapter is the world needs to see women take risks, fail big, and insist on the right to stick around and try again and again and again. A champion never allows a short-term failure to take her out of the long-term game. A woman who doesn't give up can never lose. Preach. So the fifth rule is champion each other. The old rule was to be against each other, and now the rule is to be for each other, to encourage other women, because you realize that success and joy and happiness is not a pie. Here it is. The power and success and joy are not pies. A bigger slice for one woman doesn't mean a smaller slice for another. We believe that love, justice, success, and power are infinite and meant to be accessible to all. Revolutions are won with collective action. We will take action on behalf of all of us. We will help each other out. We will rush towards each other. Her victory is your victory. Celebrate with her. And your victory is her victory. Point to her. Thank her. Number 6, demand the ball. The old rule was to play it safe and to pass the ball. The new rule is to believe in yourself, demand the ball. So, call to the Wolfpack, believe in yourselves. Stand up and say, give me the effing ball. Give me the effing job. Give me the same pay that the guy next to me gets. Give me the promotion. Give me the microphone. Give me the Oval Office. Give me the respect I deserve, and give it to my Wolfpack too. In other words, it's not about demanding something and being demanding. It's about recognizing that you have the power to ask for the things that you want. You have the power to demand the prices that your work deserves. You have the power to demand equality when you see that equality is falling down. You have the power to demand what it is that you completely deserve. So, number 7, bring it all. Old rule was to lead with dominance, create followers. The new rule is to lead with humanity and cultivate leaders. This is so true in my own business. I work really hard to help the business owners I work with be leaders themselves, to learn to lead themselves. So they're not coming to me, needing me to lead them. They're becoming their own leaders. That's what everything I do here is really aimed at. So the call to the Wolfpack is claim your power and bring along your full humanity. Clear the way for others to do the same. Because what our families, our companies, and the world needs is nothing more and nothing less than exactly who we are. And the 8th rule is to find your pack. The old rule was you're on your own, but the new rule is you're not alone. You've got your pack. In other words, find your group of women who are going to encourage you, who are going to support you, whether that's other business owners or that's other moms or that's other people who are trying to do what you're trying to do. Find the women who will support you, who will celebrate with you, who don't believe that success and joys are just a pie and you only get some. So the call to the Wolfpack, life is not meant to be lived as a lone wolf. We all need a pack. So I highly recommend Wolfpack by Abby Wambach. If you need some encouragement, if you need some movement forward, grab it from Amazon. I'll link to it below, or get it from your local library. Hope you have an excellent week, and I'll see you on the podcast this Wednesday.